to our video presentation today regarding the Illinois FirstNet project. My name is Bill Springer and I work for the Illinois Terrorism Task Force, and I'm the system architect for the state of Illinois on the FirstNet project. So let's talk about FirstNet in Illinois. We've got experience in dealing with build, own, operate systems that are owned and operated by a vendor and where we use the network service. One of those is Starcom 21. It's our statewide radio system. The vendor built, owns, and operates that network. All the users just pay a monthly cost per user. They don't have to put all the upfront money in to build the network out. The network already exists. They pay their monthly fee. They can use the radios. Starcom also includes a governance structure that has state and local representatives. We're doing the same thing in FirstNet, where there's representation of all the users on a governance structure to be able to deal with the vendors. Some of the lessons learned from Starcom 21, though, is we have to make sure that we work with all the stakeholders to ensure that we've got all the input from all the people who are going to use the network. It's very difficult if you have a network and you've already designed it and you've already started construction to find out that you missed somebody and you missed somebody's input. If you have to go back and do a redesign and do some more construction on the network, it's very expensive and it's very disruptive to the project. So we're trying to avoid that in FirstNet to make sure that we get all the information from people up front to understand how we're designing the network. Also, resource sharing with utilities is a really key factor. Utilities, electrical utilities in central and southern Illinois are using Starcom, and they bring a lot of pluses to the system. They brought frequencies and they bring revenue because there are users on the system, so we get good cost sharing. We anticipate the same thing with FirstNet. We're partnering with utilities in the build out of the system is going to pay a big benefit both to the utilities and to the state of Illinois. So our goals in Illinois FirstNet, like I said before, we want to work with the entire public safety community to fully understand their needs for broadband wireless. We want to make sure that we understand what it is that agencies need to use data for, not only today, but what they'll be using it for in the future. We're also going to make that recommendation on the opt-in and opt-out decision. We're also acting as advocates for public safety communications in Illinois. Any questions or concerns that agencies might have about FirstNet, we can take those and raise those up to the national level if we have to, or work on those issues in Illinois to make sure that we've got people's concerns covered and to make sure that the network is going to work the way we want it to work. So right now we're in phase one. We've built a governance structure that includes state and local representatives. Right now we have a stakeholder committee that's over 100 members. And it sounds like it might be kind of unwieldy and hard to deal with, but again, that goes back to the point about making sure we understand all the input from all the possible stakeholders. We don't want to miss anybody because, as I said, it's hard to go back and redo these types of things. We're also doing education and outreach to stakeholders like we're doing today on this video. We're also identifying potential users and how the network will be used. When we talk about potential users, we're not talking about individual agencies that might use the system. What we're talking about is different classes of users. For example, the obvious users of FirstNet will be police, fire, and EMS, but there's other types of agencies that could benefit from this. One of these is public works and transportation and highways. There's a big need to be able to get remote streaming video back from areas of concern about construction areas or where there's traffic problems. FirstNet could help us with this. Also, utilities. We think there's a big benefit in being able to communicate directly with the utility companies. As you know, if there's any kind of a disaster or a storm, if you've got power lines down and you can't get through the roads because of live wires, it's very useful to be able to communicate directly with those utilities to communicate to get those roads opened up so that we can get to the areas we need to operate in. So there's not only, like I said, the big three, the police, fire, and EMS, but there's other potential users in the network that we think can benefit the network. In phase two, we'll be defining user requirements. What that is we'll be taking all the information we're getting from all the agencies that we're talking to and converting those into more technical requirements so FirstNet at the national level can roll that into their RFP. We're also doing coverage planning, and coverage planning is a big deal. Coverage is one of the most important things in a wireless network because if you're depending on that wireless network, but there's not a signal in the area where you're operating, the network is no good to you. So coverage planning is really key. We need to find out where the agencies plan to use the network, where their hot spots are, where they operate the most, where are their most concerning areas, where do they have areas of concern. So we're going to be finding those things out as we move forward. Also in phase two, we'll be looking at an assessment of any infrastructure that might help in the build out of the network. For example, towers or fiber optic networks, things like that. So as far as governance goes, the director of IEMA is the single point of contact to the federal FirstNet organization. We have that stakeholder group of over 100 members. Again, that's to make sure we understand all the concerns and all the needs of public safety users in Illinois. Also, for governance, we're doing that recommendation to the governor for the opt-in and opt-out decision. So for our outreach efforts, we have a website which is www.firstnet.illinois.gov. And this site has a lot of information specific to Illinois as far as FirstNet. It also shows our schedule for the county-by-county planning meetings. Our intent is to be able to talk to all 102 Illinois counties about FirstNet. At this stage, we've talked to about 29 counties. There's probably another 30 that we're working with. So we're trying to make sure that we can talk to every county, again, to understand those needs. We've been meeting with state and federal agencies. We've been doing presentations at the public safety conferences like the IEMA conference, the IESMA conference, and things like that. We'll also meet with individual stakeholders. If your agency, whether it's a city or a town or a county or a state agency, if you have a concern about FirstNet or questions that are specific to your agency, please contact us and we'll be glad to come out and talk to you and address your concerns and answer your questions. Also in 2015, we're planning to host 3 Illinois FirstNet regional conferences, one in the north, one in the central, and one in the southern part of the state. This is simply a graphic of our outreach efforts so far. Like I said, at this point in time, as of December 30th, we've done 29 counties. We have another approximately 30 that are scheduled. We've also got a couple of counties on here where we're going to go back and have another meeting with them because of the interest. Again, if there's any time that your agency needs to talk to us about FirstNet, contact us and we're very happy to come out and talk to you.